Hey everyone, and welcome to our second episode of our Black Lives Matter series. Kimil and I are grateful to be joined with our guests who are entrepreneurs and creatives in their own right. So today's episode will give us our guests the opportunity to speak about their own experiences with their business, top tips they could give to those wanting to start something of their own, and just an overall discussion on the sustainability of Black businesses in the UK.
So I'm going to let our guests take the floor. So start off with telling us who you are, what your brand is about, and why you decided to start it. So who would like to go first?
Me and Francesca can.
Yeah.
I'm Annette, and
I'm Francesca.
And what we've got together is an online magazine called Yesgurl. It started. We launched it last year, but it started a couple of years ago. We were just like we're still working currently, but we're on different jobs. We just found it really mundane, but we wanted like to create kind of like our own creative outlet. So it kind of started off as a passion project, the online magazine, and it's just grown into something so much more. Like, we now class ourselves as a brand, and we've started to, even though we are fixated on being online and digital, we've branched out into producing our own print magazines. But Yesgurl is just pretty much a space just for like young women like us who often don't get a voice in the mainstream. And yeah, it's a platform for all of us to just share our experiences.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next?
Yeah, so I'm a poet, and I'm pretty early on in my journey in terms of the business that we've decided to create. Me and a friend of mine called Remy. We've got I don't know what you want to call it. Well, we're trying to create a platform for creatives to come together. It's called Heart, Mind and Spirit, mainly focused around men and mental health, and kind of opening up and discussing things. We've both been through some difficult times, and we realized actually in terms of the support for men, there isn't much. And considering that the suicide rate is 3 times higher than for women, and roughly around 70% of deaths for men until the age of 45 is suicide, you would think that there'd be more help out there. So we decided to come together and kind of create this channel, just to create dialogue and get people talking. And it's actually been quite good. A lot of people have reached out, which has been I'm pleasantly surprised, to be honest. And a lot of guys have reached out, which has been good.
Amazing, thank you.
I guess I'm last. But my name's Alicia-Pearl, but Alicia's cool. I call myself a creative freelancer. That just means I am an artist, but I do various other jobs as well. I guess the main thing you guys wanted to talk to me about today was the Culture Collective, which is, I'm so sorry, the background noise. A hand-painted garment brand that I started in my 3rd year of uni, 2nd year actually, and it was a bit like random, kind of like what Annette was saying, a passion project. It just started as me doing something for a uni project, and I loved it, and people really enjoyed the work. It was me making my artwork accessible, and yeah, it's just turned into a brand. I didn't plan for it. I wasn't ready for it, but yeah, it's happened, and love it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, guys. I'm always in so much awe when it comes to hearing people, like, stories around what it's been like to start up their own business and their journeys around it. It's not always easy, especially when you're getting started. So what my first question would be is, what has your experience been like so far in starting it up? Have you gone through any hurdles so far, or like anything that's been stopping you, or now that you've experienced it so far, for example, the ladies, you've had your businesses a little bit longer than, say, Reiss. So what has it been like now that you've experienced this business life for the amount of time you have, compared to life before with just a 9 to 5?
I would say it's not easy. It's not easy at all, because even though we did have our 9 to 5s before, like we're still working on our 9 to 5s and also doing Yesgurl. So I feel like for anyone who has a passion project or wants to be an entrepreneur and have something on the side, passion needs to be the driving force, because with Yesgurl, like, you know, you're going to work 9 to 5, and then in the, like, maybe early in the mornings or late at night, we're working on that. So it's not easy at all, but it's the passion and the fact that we love it that drives us.
Amazing, thank you. No, for real, it's definitely, passion has to be the number one priority. For me personally, I know it's pretty much the same for Kia, is getting a message across. What about the rest of you guys?
I think for me, I would just say, don't think you have to have everything ready to start. I definitely didn't, and I'm still in the process. I'm only in the process now of like putting a business plan together, because I never started out with one. It was just like, okay, people like this, let's go with the flow. It's kind of me just meeting a demand, and figuring things out. It's okay to not have the full package, to not have all the money aside and all the facilities available to you. Like, start with what you have, is what I would say.
Brilliant. And Reiss, what's it been like for you so far?
For me, I think I kind of have to agree with the two ladies in terms of the passion element. Also, just started. Before we even began doing this project, I was putting out poetry. I decided to release a poetry book. And before I did that, I was sitting on it for a long time. And I guess it's literally, I would say, like I said, seconding what the second lady said, just start, just do it. Just do it. Because if you overthink a situation, sometimes you end up not starting something which could be something amazing. So literally, yeah, I have to piggyback off of what the two ladies said in terms of passion, because you need to be passionate about what you're doing. It makes it a lot easier. And then just start.
I feel like when you see the returns coming in, like, you actually start seeing finances, because until then, or to be honest, it depends, because I guess if your 9 to 5 is holding you back, and you know, if you ditch that job and you go like spending so much time on your business, then maybe that will show you the returns. But if you feel like you can still make something of it part-time, and you're just waiting for the moment you have income coming in, and I guess that's when you feel ready. I think that's when I feel ready, and when I've got the business plan all sorted and I know what's happening, for me personally.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really important to also be able to sustain yourself, and sometimes it's really hard to get caught up in the notion of just follow your dream and, you know, give your all to it. But I personally feel like it's also just as important to make sure you're sustaining yourself, especially if you have responsibilities. And it's hard because, like you said, you've got your normal 9 to 5, and then you've got the rest of the evening, which is your passion. And it can be tiring. And I guess the reason why I asked if there was like anything that was holding you back was because I know I've definitely faced that whole conversation with myself, or like, I'm so young. And sometimes I feel like I'm going to end up missing so much of my like young adulthoodness, because I'm like putting everything into my 9 to 5 and also my passion projects. But then I guess it's also that conversation of like the long term benefits that we're going to have, not only just for me, for myself, but as a community, would be amazing to see. So that's definitely what drives me.
I don't know if you want to keep going with this one, but I'm in a position where I don't have a 9 to 5 right now. This is why I was saying in the beginning, don't be afraid of like the unconventional route, because I actually got fired from my job and got thrown into like the deep end of self-employment, and I wasn't mentally prepared. Like, I had a plan to save money, and I would have left my job, I think, the end of last month. But I lost my job in October, and it's been a very interesting few months going by. So I think what was holding me back at the time was just, am I going to be financially stable? I've got responsibilities that I need to take care of. Is it wise for me to leave my job right now? You know, like, business is good, but, you know, it's like some months it's great, some months it's not. So how do I manage the cash flow? So that's mostly what I was thinking about. But I was like, other than that, so ready to fully immerse myself. It was just the job that was holding me back. So
I just want to ask you guys, like, when starting up your business, did you guys have influencers or like people that you could go to for guidance in starting it? Was there someone that you looked up to, inspired you for, they inspired me to do this, I'm going to do this?
I feel before we came up with Yesgurl, I was writing for, not sure if you guys know the brand, if you've heard of it. The brand, it's basically this kind of platform set up by Leomi Anderson. She's a model. They pretty much sell clothing, but they have a blog. So I sent a few blog posts and I really liked it, but I wanted something whereby I'll be more in control. So I feel like me doing that for the short term, it definitely helped and gave the inspiration to channel into Yesgurl.
When I first got into recruitment and I was in an office environment and I was speaking to people who are making a certain amount of money, and one of the things that someone said to me once is, it's funny enough, he said it just before the COVID happened. He said, I hope this is not your main source of your only source of income. And I sat back and I thought about it. This is someone who is, I don't even know about recruitment, but it's all on sales and is building a lot of money. And he said to me, I hope this is not your only source of income. And I sat back and I said to myself, what does he mean by that? And the more that I thought about it, the more I understood that we're living in a world where if you only have a 9 to 5 and that's it, just one avenue of income coming in. When something like COVID happens, you find yourself in a situation where you're struggling. You do, I believe, need multiple streams of income. You need to be looking at other ways of making money. Obviously, it's not all about money. It's about, your passion and trying to get, if you're an artist, for example, trying to get your art out there and connecting with people. But also, the world does revolve around making some sort of finance. So that advice helped me because I said, okay, how else can I make other forms of income? Okay, I'm a writer. Let me have a book out. Okay, I know about recruitment. Let me do a little bit of research in terms of investments. Let me invest a little bit of capital here. Let me see. So if I ever decided just to do my creative projects, I know that I have other avenues where money would be coming in, and it wouldn't just be the recruitment job that I'd need to kind of finance me, if that makes sense.
I don't think I had anybody that I was really talking to business wise, because it took me a long time to actually accept that I'm an entrepreneur of sorts. I didn't really give myself that title until late last year, I'd say, when I lost my job and I was like, so this is it now. But I think it was just me enjoying and exploring and figuring things out, experimenting and having fun with it, which I think there are pros and cons to, and I definitely would have benefited from having a mentor there. But yeah, I really think it was just go with the flow type thing.
Mine is actually because I'm more with art, so I do illustrations and the creative side. So I didn't really have anyone that I was looking up to or anything. But I think when me and Annette got together and we decided let's put both our passions together and let's make something of it, then that's kind of just what drove me to just want to have Yesgurl on the platform. So yeah, I wouldn't say there was anyone in particular that influenced me or anything. I guess it was just the idea of having a creative platform with my friends. So yeah,
we also really before the time we started the online magazine, we also really got into the law of attraction. So I feel that really helped us as well. it just really encouraged us to believe that anything that we wanted, we could make a reality, whether it seems far-fetched or not. And so
yeah,
thank you. I just want to point back to what Reiss said about the importance of having multiple streams of income. Is that the same with the rest of you? Have you looked into investments or just other stuff on the side?
I think for me, it's I haven't looked into investments and stuff. All of that stuff's very intimidating to me, and I feel now I'm in a place where that will come in the next 3 to 5 months, 3 to 6 months maybe. But I think definitely multiple streams of income. That's something that can have happened to me accidentally because I am a freelancer. So it was me taking on one-off jobs here and there that would turn into a more contractual thing. Oh, can you come and do this for a period of 3 months with us? And that kind of made me realize the benefits of really having multiple streams of income and how that can really help your cash flow when this is when you're all in. I think it's very, very important. And I think COVID-19 has shown us that. if you can have multiple streams, go for it. So yeah.
I just want to point, how come investment intimidates you?
Because I know nothing about it, and I don't think I'm as financially literate as I would like to be right now. So it's about me educating myself. When I don't know, like when I'm not well educated on a topic, it's a bit intimidating to me. So I would just like to do some research, figure out what I think about things, because I'm very wary of being influenced by other people. I don't like that too tough. So it's good to hear from people, I think, but I think what's more important to me is figuring out what I think of that thing or believe of that thing first. And then taking into account what other people are saying. So that's why I said that.
Yeah, likewise with Reiss, definitely agree with the whole having multiple streams of income. And COVID-19 actually showed me that, in as much as I do want to get out my 9 to 5 and pursue Yesgurl full time, sometimes it is still good to kind of have that safety net. And even though being an entrepreneur is so much idealized, hardship can come out if you are self-employed. But with Yesgurl, although we are making money, it's not constantly. So it's something that, we're just going to continue building on and investing into the company and marketing and ensuring that, we can generate wealth from it. Yeah.
Back to Reiss. So in terms of, someone who wants to get multiple streams of income, would you say it's on them to educate themselves, or should they seek mentorship?
Yeah, that's a very good question. First of all, I would say that if you're someone who's spending a lot of money on training courses, I would second guess yourself, because I would say no other generation has had access to YouTube. You can actually go and watch other people do it, and you can watch multiple people. You can, it's what we pay for. We pay for someone else to put it in a funnel and give it to us in a particular way. But with the access to the web, if you really had the time to do that, you could search yourself and figure out how it works. Obviously, there's always going to be an element of risk. In anything you do, there's going to be an element of risk involved. But no other, our parents don't know. They could never have done stuff like this, that what we can do, where we can educate ourselves and learn about something. The other day, my boiler broke down. And instead of me calling, actually YouTube, how do I fix this boiler? I put the number in, and there was a step-by-step guide how to fix it, and I fixed it myself. So yeah, it's all about trying to educate yourself, but also not letting it seem too daunting. I recently started investing a few here and there, a few stocks in a few companies, and it sounds like a big deal, but it's actually not. It's actually just you go in watching, like I said, maybe YouTube videos, looking at trends, looking at what's happening in that sort of market at the moment, and then taking a gamble. If you can find someone who's done it before, amazing. Luckily, I have a friend of mine who's quite savvy and good with things like that, and that really does help. But yeah, so just like with the business element of things, I think sometimes you just gotta take a leap of faith with some background to it as well. Obviously, you do need to make sure you educate yourself a little bit. You don't want to waste your money or your funds.
Yeah, I think it's super important to mentorship, 100%. And I think, for me at least, yeah, it can be really awkward reaching out to people and being like, hey, you're into investments and, could you help me? It can be a little bit awkward, but I guess the outcome is just so much bigger than my initial awkwardness, because I can be so awkward, guys. It's really uncomfortable. But yeah, how do you guys ever go around seeking mentorship? Well, I know some of you mentioned that you haven't had someone to really go to. You haven't had a go-to. Do you think it's necessary, or do you think you can just be independent and do it on your own if you do enough research? And yeah,
I think that's interesting. I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's important and I think it's valuable. I have a mentor now, and it helps give so much perspective. There's certain things you can't see when you're in a situation, and I think it's great to have family and friends around, but they're always a little bit tired. Having somebody that is outside of your situation, isn't too close to you, doesn't feel away, giving you constructive criticism, and someone that you trust as well, I think is a great person to have as a mentor. And I've just seen so many benefits come from like mentorship. I would definitely recommend it, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you can do it on your own, but I don't believe in like this whole I can do it by myself type thing. I believe in like interdependence rather than I'm a bad bee, I got this, I don't need your help, you know. I think we need people. Like, yeah, naturally we gravitate towards crowds and tribes, and we make little groups, and that's something we've done our whole lives. It's what we want, it's what we desire, so make the most of that.
And how have you gone about like seeking mentorship?
Oh, for me, it kind of happened by accident. Well, I saw the opportunity and I was like, she'd be a great mentor. I'm going to ask her. It was just somebody that I was in a workshop with, like a creative workshop, and we weren't friends, but we knew each other in that capacity. And we got to know each other over like a few weeks, and I started to realize like this lady's got a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of good experience that I think could be valuable. And we actually went just to catch up for like some coffee, and we were talking, and she started asking me questions about my business, and it was just the way that she was asking. I could tell that she had my best interest at heart, because we built a relationship over like a few weeks or months. And then I just saw the opportunity, and I asked her, I was like, how would you feel about mentoring? And I was like, I'd really, really love to be your mentee if you'd love to. Like, she was like, me? I was like, yeah. That was that.
Yeah, I just want to touch on, obviously, like COVID and quarantine. Well, pubs are open, guys, restaurants open. That's another thing. But I just want to know, like, what did you have to do in terms of coping during lockdown?
I think for me, the way it's affected has been a bit interesting. As we went into lockdown, I was still like on the low end in terms of orders, and that was for various reasons. But business actually picked up a lot, and we've had like our best 3 months like during this lockdown, which has been like based on the different things that have come up, like the Black Lives Matter movement trending again. Like, my brand is very much Afrocentric, and our garments are influenced by African and Caribbean cultures and stuff, and that stuff has been popping lately. So all the hashtags I've been putting like for the last 2 years, like, were all trending again, and people were finding us, like people were sharing Black businesses, and it's just been like so like a wealth of support. So in that way, it's been really, really amazing, and I'm really grateful that that's been the case during lockdown. But in the beginning, it was really scary, and like, yeah, I had to like sign up for universal credit and stuff as I'm self-employed, and it was just like, I don't know how this is going to affect me. I don't know what's going to be like coming out. But yeah, in the beginning, it was a bit shaky, but things have really picked up now and have been steady for the last couple months.
Yeah, thank you. That's great to hear. How about you, Reiss?
Yeah, I think for me and Remy, COVID was probably the reason why we decided to push further with the idea that we had in terms of the brand itself, because we had more time to do it. We was at home, we didn't have much to do. So if anything, it was a blessing, because it put us in a situation where we said, okay, with all this free time on our hands, we can't not use it to utilize some of the things that we're doing. It also enabled me to write another small book of poems that I put out. So I think as a creative, in terms of creating things, it's probably great. But if you're maybe like a freelancer and you're getting work, I don't know, potentially that could probably have a real negative impact. But yeah, it was a blessing in disguise, I think.
Obviously we recently had the Black British Pound Day. Did you guys, obviously I'm sure you all were part of it, but how did you feel about that? Did you get like loads of traffic to your website or Instagram pages?
Yeah, so although like our print magazines did suffer with at the start of Corona, our online magazine and our socials definitely grew. I just guess because everyone was online more, especially with the Black Pound Day and more support for supporting Black businesses. And so we had a lot of traffic in regards to like our online and socials, and Corona has picked up. So on Black Pound Day, we had so much support in regards to our print magazines. So yeah, really worked in our favour. And we also felt a responsibility to also as we are like a women-owned platform, we also felt the responsibility to also like advertise other Black women-owned businesses across our socials as well.
In terms of book sales, yeah, people definitely were engaging more. So I probably had my best month with my poetry sales that I ever had in the midst of all of the Black Lives Matter and everything like that, which is, for me, is fantastic. But I've always been someone that looks for my friends' businesses if I need something, if I got a friend who does hair products, I'd rather spend my money there than anywhere else. So for me, it really didn't make no difference because I'm always searching to spend my money with my people if possible. So yeah, it's good that it was pushed to the forefront though, definitely.
Yeah, because I think that was the whole like initiative behind it. Like, not much money is going to Black-owned businesses. We tend to spend money outside our community. So I love how that was the push forward, and literally everybody's social was just like promoting, like go here, and I just literally just save it. On Instagram you can just save. So I'm sorted, guys. Like, I know where to go for things. Like, why do you feel, or we see or hear in like the news or articles that money going into Black businesses is not as strong as, let's say, white-owned businesses? Do you feel like there's a specific reason for this? Because I know, like, for example, when I go to Brixton, you don't really see much Black-owned businesses. It's most like coffee shops and all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, but where am I going to source? I need to find. Do you feel like it's down to like gentrification of areas? Because like Elephant Castle and Brixton are sometimes like obviously changing with like now it's like estates and like all these posh houses. Like, is there a reason why you feel like Black-owned businesses don't tend to stay long?
I think there's so many contributing factors, like so many, gentrification being one of them. I think lack of knowledge being another one. I think also just the mindset that us as people of colour have, living in this white supremacist society, like, just things that have been passed down to us, this idea of we can't achieve certain things. And I think just, that whole idea of like a glass ceiling, people like, oh, we can't be successful business owners. All Black businesses have rude employees, and people are just they don't do things properly. And in my experience, that hasn't been it. So I think lack of knowledge, lack of promotion, lack of what's happening now, and Black Pound Day and stuff like that is what it is. Yeah.
I pretty much agree with Alicia as well. I feel there's a number of contributing factors, like Black people not having like economic power as opposed to like white people. Our mindset as well when it comes to products, like in the Black community. Don't know if you guys heard this statistic whereby money circulates in the Black community for 6 hours, as opposed to the Asian community where that's 30 days, or the Jewish community where that's 20 days. Also, like, that we live in a white supremacist society as well. So I feel there are a number of factors that like are inhibiting us. But I love what BLM, Black Lives Matter, has done. I feel like it's really pushed those issues to the surface, and we are as a community addressing that. And so Black Pound Day, that initiative was just so powerful. And hopefully people don't just see that as like a one-day thing that we do once a year. It's something that like stays with us, and like we always continue to try and support our community.
Do you guys ever feel like there are gender differences when it comes to managing your business? Or like, for example, yes, you guys have a platform that's mostly for women. If you guys haven't read their articles, read them. They're absolutely amazing. You can practically find anything on there. So do you ever find like there are gender differences, whether it's, I don't know if you guys have needed to search for economic support or anything financial, because I know there is like some stats around harder for people of colour and Black people, especially women. Yeah,
I do feel at times, for the most part, even though we do get a lot of support and help. I do feel at times like people don't always take us as seriously. One example being when we had our launch party, it was really hard for us to find a venue. And then when we did eventually get a venue, the guy that owned it wanted to cheat us and didn't want to give us a deposit. And we were just like, yeah, is it because we're women? Is it because we're Black? So sometimes I do feel like for us, people don't always want to take us seriously. But like for us, it's just to just keep fighting and always push through that.
Yeah, well, that's crazy. I can't believe it. Like sometimes I listen to people share their stories and it's just so unimaginable. That it's, you know, in 2020 and this sort of stuff happens so blatantly in the UK, which I feel is one of the most progressive countries in the world.
But yeah, that's what our platform really is to do, just share our experiences and fight against that. Yeah, and fight for us and empowerment and equality.
Yes, that's it. That's amazing. And what about you, Reiss? Do you ever feel like you feel any gender differences? I know you mentioned that, like, for example, mental health for men is never really talked about or not talked about as much. So I think it's amazing that you have this platform that specifically addresses mental health for men. Even
with the poetry, so I write poetry, I have 2 books out. It's only really women that I know have gone out and bought the poetry. And with the mental health side of things, I'm really happy when I get a message back from a guy, because the majority of messages come from women. So whenever we go through the messages and we're like, oh, okay, or someone DMs us and it's a guy, I'm like, oh, wow. You know, because it's usually the women that come and praise us. They're very quick to acknowledge what we're trying to do. I just think that there's such a negative stigma around men just having this kind of dialogue or conversation. However, there's certain people who I know who've watched what we do and they won't acknowledge it, say by comment or by dialogue, but they will hit me up in a text and say, keep doing what you're doing. It just goes to show that, yeah, men are, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done in terms of being as open as we should be.
And I find that okay, so I feel like men support in a different way. Like they might comment like the strong arm emoji on the comments or whatever, and it's like their way of supporting. But I do find that it is becoming more common for men to show love openly, which I think is amazing. And I do believe that us as women play a massive part in that.
Yeah, I just want to touch on, like, just back to you guys, like, business, and if there's anything that you can share with us and your views, like any like tips or how to go about starting a business. Is there any specific research or route that we need to go down?
For me, it would be connect to other businesses similar to yourself, you know, so that you can see, even if you don't connect, pay attention to other businesses very similar to yourself, so that you can kind of see what they've done and their process, and follow it to a certain degree, you know. So yeah, that would be mine. Very plain and simple. Just connect with other people similar to you, see what they've done, and see if you can, you know, steal some stuff.
So, like, basically the power of networking. I'm sure
exactly
done networking at some point, whether that's online or before COVID, so going to events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we touch on that enough, especially as young adults. I think we're pretty much all in the same age range, and it's not. I don't feel like it's something that's really addressed like as a seriously important tool to network and to reach out to people. And I guess it comes back to, like, whether it's those conversations we have with ourselves, or it's going to be awkward, or maybe not knowing how to approach those conversations. Do you guys ever network, like, or part of a networking team? Or I know there's sometimes events that go on. Do you guys take part in that?
I do, 100%. That's kind of how I met Kia. So I think it's great. I think you're always networking. And I think our generation is a little bit scared of it sometimes, because there's this, like, idea of what networking is, and you've got to pitch to somebody, and have you got that, your first 2 sentences prepared. And I think all of that is nonsense. Like, just be yourself and just, like, find out something interesting about the person. I was in a talk, like, a couple of weeks ago with the one of the co-founders of Guap magazine, and he was saying, like, he's made like connections with Nike and stuff just from having a good time. And you know, these people have people coming to pitch to them every single day, all the time. People are always trying to network, and this is my idea, this is what I want to do, this is what I can do. And he said the ones that have gone the furthest are the ones that were the most genuine and like really unrelated to them. Like, just be yourself. And I think it speaks volumes that people like people that like them. So just find something nice, find common ground, have a couple laughs, some banter, then grab their Instagram at the end. You guys can talk business later. I think making that connection and keeping it there is more important than how can I show you what I can do in these 3 minutes. Like, yeah, we're not robotic. We have feelings, we have emotions to cater to as well. So yeah.
I think me and Francesca are probably a bit better at networking like over social media rather than like a more like formal kind of, I don't know, networking event or something. But from those relationships that we've been able to build build online, like we've met up with people and have worked with or are in the process of working with them. Sometimes I feel like with networking, especially me, sometimes I feel like, oh, you need to go to like a particular event and do this to see like-minded people. But sometimes it's just like meeting someone. You could be at like a random event, just meeting someone new, like a random social event, meeting someone new and just talking about like what you do. And then from there, like you can just kind of connect and yeah, you can see where it goes.
I think it's interesting you touched on that online networking. I hadn't even thought about that. I don't even know why I seen as we're an online platform, but like it does really highlight the fact that you can reach out to people via DMs or yeah, basically DMs and messaging people to find out like what it is that they're interested in, or you know, like getting connected. Because like you said, Alicia, we are human beings, and we get like human beings, like we like people. We are peoples, you know, and we get connected through the most minimal things, trivial things, or whether it's through morals, values, or interests, hobbies. It's so easy to get connected to people, and I think it comes back to that humanity. So it's really great that you guys touched on that. One thing I want to ask is, how do you guys go about with your creative spaces? For me, sometimes it's hard because I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I find myself not wanting to do any work in my bedroom, just simply because my bedroom is like my safe haven, and I want to keep it free of all that sort of energy. And then I find that I take up a lot of space in the living room doing a lot of editing, which can be a bit frustrating for my mum. But how do you guys tackle that?
It's interesting to hear that. I'm currently in my bedroom. This is my bedroom. It's my studio. It's my office. It's my workspace. Many pros and cons. Pros is that I don't have to go anywhere to like get what I need done, and I think that's the most annoying thing for me. Going to uni and stuff, like before I graduated, I would move around with a suitcase because I had so many supplies. I didn't want to break my back. So it takes me a lot of time to move to set up downstairs in the living room or be in the kitchen out of people's way. And I live with my mum and my brother. Like, it's too much. I'd rather be in my own space where I can control everything that's going on. But again, cons, like I'm a bit of a workaholic, so sometimes I'm up till like the early hours of the morning and I forget, this is your bed, Alicia, you should be sleeping. But yeah, I wish I could show you guys, but it's just in a way, like everything's got a place, and I think that's very important to me. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to get a studio soon that can be like my workspace and office at the same time, but that's something I'm working towards. But for now, I'm making do with what I've got, and yeah, I've just sectioned my room in a way that's like, this is your personal life, this is your work life, and yeah.
I think I'm one of those lucky people that like I can work from my bed and it's not an issue for me, and I can shut off as well. So when I was working, I'm currently on phone at the moment, but when I was working, I'd get up a bit earlier to work on Yesgurl, and I'd get ready go to work. After work, I might stay behind in the office and work on Yesgurl, or I might just come back home, sit on my bed and just do work. So like, luckily for me, like my bedroom. I don't know why, but like working from my bed, I don't know, I'm able to distinguish between this is work time and this is sleep time, but I know for a lot of people that can be an issue.
Now, for me, it's just get up and go, innit? You've got my laptop, got my phone, got my charger. So wherever I need to be, I'll be, and we'll make it work, sort of thing, innit? So yeah, most of my stuff that I'm going to be doing is going to be in my bedroom as well, to be honest. So,
is there anything that you guys can speak on or share in terms of how overall black businesses can continue to thrive? Like, is there any like things that you can suggest on that?
I think something that we can all do straight away is start switching out those things that you buy in the drugstore that are from white-owned businesses. Do your research and find out, you know, where's the money going? Just reinvesting into our people. Like, you know, I've started, this is something like kind of like what Reiss was saying, I've always been somebody to support my friends that are black owned and doing things, like always making sure that I'm doing that. But there are other things like candles. I really like Yankee candles, but I've now started finding black owned people that like black owned businesses that make candles and homeware and stuff, and a lot of the time it's actually cheaper because they're not charging the price that they should be. So I'm just doing that, like start swapping it out, and you'll find like, well, I'm finding so much joy in doing that. I feel so good about it because it's like, why have I not been supporting my people wholly this whole time, you know?
I would say think of the bigger picture. I know sometimes for some people it might, in the short term, it might seem a bit of an inconvenience to always, you know, do your research and shop black. Sometimes it might be a bit more expensive, but like think of the long term, like we're building up our community, we're building up people within our community that can be rich and who will be allies for us, unlike, you know, these white people in power. So just think of the bigger picture.
No, I agree. I think it's just we need to support and swap your products and see where it's coming from, like Alicia said. So yeah, just supporting.
yeah, I'll double down and agree with what everyone said. I think something small that everyone can do is, I think we all can agree we're all on social media, right? Now, if you've got someone, a friend who has a product that they're selling, it's a black-owned business. Imagine you've got 2,000 followers and more than 1,000 of them are black, and every one of those shared your product on their story. Out of that, if you can imagine, a percentage of people are going to follow that business, they're going to see it and follow it, and so on and so forth. So I think just advertising as well. We have the ability now to share our friends' products and say, hey, look, this is what my friend is doing. We don't often do that. I look through my page and I see people sharing, you know, celebrity gossip, but I don't see them advertising potentially what their friends might be doing that I might be interested in. I might want to, you know, buy a comic from someone who's writing about a black superhero or something. I'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. But we have more power in our hands with technology than we've ever had before. So I think it's just utilizing it and supporting advertising, and just having each other's backs, really.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with what you guys are saying. It's really just one thing that really comes to mind is sometimes we look way too far from our immediate circles and our immediate like friendship groups, and sometimes, you know, well, at least for me, there's a lot of people around me that do have like their own smaller businesses, and it does make a difference to support it from within your immediate circle. And sometimes, you know, you can create the maddest of link-ups and collabs from people that you already know. So yeah, that's one thing. I think sometimes we look way too externally from the people that we already have around us. So I guess what I would like to finish off on with is start with the people literally around you and grow outwards.
Yes, thank you again for joining us. I hope this was a productive talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, me and Cami really do appreciate taking time out on us on a Sunday. But yes, thank you again.
Absolutely. And literally just to reiterate what Kia said is, you guys could have been doing so many other things. You guys chose to spend it with us, having this conversation. So really, really thank you so much. And hopefully we'll have another conversation soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's lovely meeting you guys.
Meeting all of you.
Yeah.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.